If we successfully create an account, we will get this kind of an email, and if we click on this link, it will open this new page. Right now we are not handling anything for this verify, so you will get this cannot get verify. So for this, what we need to do, we need to have this verify page first. So this is going to be the page that we need to create, and from inside that page we are going to read the ID and the token, and then we are going to send both of these ID and token to our backend API, where we will handle like verify email or something like this. So this is going to be the overall scenario. First of all, we need to have the verify page from where we are going to read the ID and token, and we are going to send both of these to our verify email endpoint. So in this case, this verify page that we have right here, this is going to be our front end page. So this is going to be the page which our user can see inside the browser. Only then we can read ID and token. And from inside that front end application, we can send the request. But again, like we did before, we are going to handle the API part first. So we are going to create this API endpoint from where we are going to accept the ID and the token. And once we are going to have that API endpoint ready, we are going to create the front end page as well. Now again, for this verify endpoint, I have this new node inside this node.md. And the very first thing that we need to do, we need to read the incoming data, and those are going to be ID and the token. And then we are going to find the token inside our database. And here we also have this little hint, we can use owner ID to find the token from inside our database. And then here we can send error if there is no token found. And if we pass this condition, then we'll check if the token is valid or not, because we will have this in encrypted form, right? And obviously if token is not valid, we'll send error. Otherwise, we'll update this user like this user is verified. And then here we are going to simply remove the token from inside our database, and we will send the success message. So I'm going to again copy all of these, and let's come inside our routes auth.ts, and here we are going to duplicate this post request. And this time, instead of sign up, here we are going to handle verify. And we'll write the validation logic, but we will do this later. But first of all, let's create this new function called verify email. And we are going to create it inside our controller. So I'm going to fold this create new user, and I'll create and export this function called verify email. And this is going to be request handler, where we will have the request and the response. And let's complete this function. And right here, I'm going to paste all of those logics that we want to add. Now let's come down and start from right here, reading the incoming data. So you can do this by simply destructuring this ID and token from inside the request.bot. Now after this, we need to find the token from inside our database. And for that, we can use the owner ID. So if you come inside our database, and here you can see we have these owner, and they are going to be object ID. And these object IDs are going to be the object ID of these users, right? So let's just come here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply use this verification model or token model dot find one. And here we are going to pass the owner, and this owner is going to be this ID. Now, because finding document from inside our database is going to be asynchronous task, so I'm going to have this function inside this async, and we have to await right here. Now here we are going to get the token, or let's call it auth token. And this is the second task that we just completed, and now send the error if there is no token. So for that, we just store the value inside this token. Now what we can do, we can check if there is no token. So if there is no auth token, we just want to return. And let's use the send error response method. Here we are going to use this response. Message is going to be on authorized request, and we'll also change the status code, which is going to be 403. So we just completed this part. Now check if the token is valid or not, because we have this token in encrypted form. So for that, if we come inside our auth token model, auth verification token model, then here we already have this method. So we can use this compare token method, and we can pass the token, and this is going to compare the token with the encrypted value. So let's come here, and now we are going to come down. Let's check auth token dot compare token, and here we can pass the token, which we have right here inside our body. So this is again going to be asynchronous task. As you can see, this is going to return promise. So we just need to await, and I'm going to store its value inside this variable is matched. Now, if this is not valid, send error message, otherwise update user is verified. So I'm again going to check for another if condition. So for that, I'll just copy this and I'll add this right after this is matched. Now we are going to check if it is not matched. Don't forget to use this not operator here. If this is the case, then we just want to return right here. We don't want to move further. We just want to send the error response. And here message is going to be that same, but here at the end, I'm going to add invalid token. And this status code is going to be the same. And now after this, what we need to do, let's see. Update user is verified. So for that, inside our user model, we don't have anything called verified. So for that, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to add new property. So we are going to add this verified, and this is going to be Boolean value. Now we have just updated our TypeScript. Now we need to come down and add that same thing inside our schema as well. So I'll come after this name, and here we are going to have the verified property, and this is going to be type of Boolean. And again, as you can see here, I'm using this capital B, and this is the JavaScript thing. Okay, so this is the global object. Now this is going to be Boolean value, and by default, so let's add this default value as well. By default, all of these users will have verified property false. So let's just save this file, and whenever you are going to make any changes inside your model, make sure to restart the server. So I'm going to simply use Control-C, and this is going to kill our server, and I'm going to use npm run dev one more time. So let's come inside our controllers, and what we need to do now is we need to find the user with this ID, and then we need to update their verified property to true. So for that, what we can do, we can simply use this user model dot find by ID and update. So this method is going to take two things, the ID and the update query. So ID is going to be this ID. So I'm going to pass this ID, and this query that we want to pass here is going to be the things that we want to update or how you want to update. Later we'll also see some complex query, but for now we just want to add this verified property here, and we just want to set this to true. Now let's just await for its response. Let's see what else that we need to do. Now once we are going to have the verified property, we are going to remove the token from inside our database and send the success message. So what we can do now is, because we already have the auth token right here, I'm going to simply await for this auth verification token model dot find by ID and delete. So here you can simply pass the ID, which is going to be your auth verification token or auth token dot underscore ID. So if you come inside our database, and inside this auth verification token, we already have the ID, and these IDs are going to be unique for every new record. So let's come here. This is going to find the token and remove it from inside our database. The next thing that we need to do is we need to send the success message. So let's use this registration, and here we are going to send the message, and I'm going to simply send this thanks for joining us. Your email is verified. So we just completed all of these tasks. First of all, we read the incoming data, then we just found the token from inside our database using the owner ID like this. And if there is no token, we are going to send the error response. And then if there is token, then we just want to find out if this is valid or not, which we are doing right here. And if this is not valid, we are sending the error response. Otherwise, what we are going to do, we are going to update the user is verified, and we did that thing right here. And then after that, we just need to remove the token from inside our database, and we did that right here, and we are sending the success message. Now let's just come inside our auth router, and we are going to import this verify email. Let's save this. And now what we need to do, we just need to send the token and the ID. So if you come inside these URLs, we already have those things. So I'm just going to copy this URL for now. You can come inside a Postman, and we can send the request to this auth/verify. And now here we just need to send the ID and token. And I'm going to remove the password from here. And let's just paste that thing that we just copied. Now I'm going to cut this ID, and I'll add this ID right here. And we also need this token, and I'm going to add this token right here inside this token. Now I'm going to remove all these things and we can simply send the request. And thanks for joining us. Your email is verified. But now if I try to verify this one more time, I'm going to get the unauthorized request. And reason is that inside our verify email controller, once we are going to verify the user, we are going to remove that token from inside our database, because these tokens are going to be for just single user, right? Now, if we just visit our users, then here we should have the verified true for one of these users. So let's see, I'm going to refresh this one more time. Okay, here we have this verified true for this last one. But there is a little problem for this route. And that problem is, let's just come inside our mail trap and let's see if we have any other token here. I'm going to just click on this one and let's just copy this ID and I'm going to replace it right here with this ID, and I'm going to remove this token so that I can add another token. I'll come here and add that token. Now, instead of sending this valid ID and token, what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply change the ID, because this is going to be object ID and object IDs are going to be different type, and because I removed these things or these characters from the end, this is going to be invalid object ID and you will get very different message here. So as you can see, cast to object ID failed value and blah blah blah. And the reason is that I just changed these things. Okay. Now if I send this with valid ID and token, I'm going to get that message back. But if these are going to be invalid, you are going to get that weird kind of error. Now we also want to validate these things, which we will do in the next video.